Hey family, how are you doing today? Dawnna St. Louis here. And I wanted to talk today because this has been coming up a lot, especially with my high profit zone family members that come to the retreat. And, people talk about expertise and inspiration versus motivation versus thought leadership, and they're kind of all, hey, Brad, how are you? And people don't know when to use which or how to use it, or even what the difference is. Like, what is a thought leader versus an expert? How does an expert know when they're a thought leader? What's the difference between being inspirational and motivational? And if you're motivational, does that mean you can't be an expert? So we kind of want to talk a little bit about what the differences are between whether you're inspirational, motivational, a thought leader, or an expert, right? Because they're all very, very, very different, right? People all, and the reason that it's so confusing is because people erroneously interchange the words all of the time, right? And so they use one when they're supposed to be using another. And so it gets a little bit confusing. And then how do you know when you are an expert? Well, how do you know when you become a thought leader? Like, does somebody roll out and they're like, here is the, I deem you thought leader. Like, how does that happen, right? So I'm going to actually give you some you guys, you know me. Well, wait, maybe you don't. Just in case you don't know me, hi, how are you? The crazy person on this side of the Facebook today. My name is Dawnna St. Louis. I'm CEO of highprofitzone.com. And specifically, I work with entrepreneurs, speakers, mentors, coaches, people who have their own consulting businesses, training businesses, and I help them get from where they are literally to the next level. You might go, well, what in the hell qualifies you to do that? Well, what qualifies me to do that is I built my own $250 million consultancy using a very specific business builder's blueprint. I have about 150 millionaires right now that I've coached that went from not having it to, making money, and many, many, many more that make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they literally use my strategies and my tactics. We're very strategic. That's why we can apply to so many different types of intellectual property folks. But we're very strategic. And because we're very strategic, we can then go in and tell you how to apply the tactics so that you can move your business forward faster. Specifically, I do this at the High Profit Zone Retreat with pre-coaching and post-coaching and everything to get you to where you need to be. My goal is to, make as many millionaires as I can, or at least make people know that they can be, you can have financial freedom from corporate colonization. You definitely can. You think my record speaks for itself? I hope so. Otherwise, people are like, well, who the hell is she? Anyway, and by the way, if you're going to be in Orlando next month, February, I'm speaking at the NSA conference, and I'm going to be talking about craveable keynotes and kick-ass content. Again, this is another one of those strategies that I put together, and I'm going to share a video later from one of my clients who came to the High Profit Zone Retreat, who did, I don't know how many keynotes this is, but he used the craveable keynote exactly as it was laid out, exactly as he was supposed to use it. And he got the 3 to 4 referrals. I think he actually said 4 referrals off the stage. And this is not someone who normally does keynotes. He does a lot of training. So anyway, so let's talk about this. Let's jump into the meat of it. I just want to make sure people know who the hell I am, before I go off on a rant. So, expertise, inspiration, motivation, and thought leader. People also get, by the way, inspiration and motivation screwed up, right? They're like, well, they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. So let's start off with inspiration. So inspiration is usually when you're telling a story that while other people might connect with it, they might even feel an emotion to it, they may laugh at it, they may cry, whatever it is, they really can't do anything with it, right? It just makes them feel good. That's inspirational, right? So maybe you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That's inspirational, right? So inspirational, the way you can tell something is inspirational is I did it, but I cannot necessarily pass on how I did it or how you could do it or anything like that to others. I could just tell you that I did it and make you feel like you can do it too. That's it. Inspirational is that easy. It's great stories that make people laugh, right? And people always think inspirational has to be, the guy on the stage telling a story about, being a foster kid and then getting bit by a shark and having that arrow go straight through one ear and come out the other and then surviving it, right? Like it has to be that story, but it doesn't. You could go see a comedian that makes you laugh and feel inspired and makes you feel different. So that's inspirational. Inspirational is literally just kicking up an emotion in other people that they can't really do anything with it other than feel good. That's really what inspiration is. It just makes you feel good. You get the same feeling, by the way, going and watching puppies and babies and kittens and baby goats on YouTube, right? You're like, oh, that was so cute. You feel a little inspired. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Motivational. Motivational literally means words into action, right? You're going to hear something, and that person might not give you the step-by-step how-to, but they're going to tell you to do something. Like, for example, they might say, I can use mine. People tell me this is motivational. I was living in my car and I was homeless and things were going shit. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I wanted to do was wrap a rope around my neck and jump off of a branch and die. Okay, so that's not the motivational part. But the motivational part would be, and then one day I sat down and I started thinking about if I didn't die and I took a different direction, what would that direction have looked like, right? And so then I started talking about pulling myself up and pulling myself out. But now what I tell people is specifically what I did that they can also do. That's important. What I did that they can also do. Maybe I say something like, and I wake up every single solitary morning, and you guys have heard people say this, and I write down a list of everything I'm grateful for. That is something that you can literally go do at home. Even if you didn't know how to write, you could put like little X's and squigglies on the page, right? Still, you're like, I can wake up every morning and I could talk about what I'm grateful for in order to change my mindset. That is motivational. Motivational, what they're going to do is they're going to move you into action using their words. They're going to say something that makes you think, oh, that's what they did. I can do that too. That's motivational, right? Inspirational, very simple, make you feel good. Motivational, make you feel good, and something that you can take with you to do. Tangible takeaway. Now let's go on to expert. All right. So first of all, there are several levels of expertise, right? There's not just one. There are several levels of expertise. And specifically, when you're talking about the 9 levels of enlightenment, when you start really talking about expertise, there isn't necessarily a single place that expertise lives. So you could be very book smart about something and you could teach it to others. That means you're knowledgeable, right? You could take that knowledge and you could put it into practice, and you can go from practice and get it done over and over and over again until you're getting consistent results. And now you've gotten to the point where you've mastered it. And then you can go from mastery to the point where you actually start putting in your own little secret sauce and making magic happen. Well, everything from knowledgeable to the lowest level of mastering something is considered an expert, believe it or not. That's why you have people who are professors that are just book smart. That's all they are. They're not practitioners. They're not journeymen. They're just book smart. However, they know the theory. They know the stuff so well that they can stand in front of a class and teach it, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that they put their hands on it, right? So you can be that type of expert at the very lowest level. In other words, I'm going to teach people how to do something that maybe I haven't done. A great example of this, by the way, because people are like, I've heard people go to me, oh, Dawnna, that's bullshit. If you haven't done it, then there is no way that you can be an expert. Okay, let me tell you something. I know doctors that are men that have helped women have babies, but they've not themselves pushed one through their hoo-ha, mainly because they didn't have one, right? But they're experts. They have studied the field. They are third-party experts. Conversely, I've had 2 children, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. right? Because, and look, if you suddenly start pushing, I'm going to say, I'm going to go get the camera, because that's about the extent of the help that I'm going to give you. Just because I did it didn't make me an expert in it. Sometimes people feel like the role that they had, the title that someone else gave them made them an expert. I know lots of people who are mothers that are not good at it. Just saying. I know lots of people who are fathers not good at it. They're not experts. So just because you practice something for a very long time does not make you an expert. Really what makes you an expert is when you, or a higher level of expert, is when you start getting consistent results. Operative word there is consistent results. And we usually put those results, by the way, somewhere above the 80th percentile. So that's when you start talking about expertise, because you're getting consistent results, almost predictable. All right, so now you're going, well, Dawnna, if I'm getting consistent results, then Miss Missy, and I'm getting consistent results in the same thing, then I'm actually a thought leader. No, you're not. You're still an expert. You might be a high-level expert, but you're still an expert. You're not a thought leader. So how do you tell the difference between an expert and a thought leader? This one comes up a lot. Here is the difference. A thought leader has actually added their own secret sauce to their expertise formula, and they have not only used that formula for themselves to get results, but they've taken that formula and they've taught it to others, their formula, and they've taught it to others, and those others have also been able to get consistent results. The operative word here is your own formula. It's not the passing of knowledge. Experts can pass knowledge at whichever level they're at, right? So, but now we're talking about thought leadership. Thought leadership literally means, okay, they had step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So they had these 5 steps, and those 5 steps seem pretty good. But you know what? I think I could actually change this up a bit. And so I'm doing step 1A, 2B, 3C, right? And so now they have these very specific steps that they're doing, and they're getting results, but maybe their results are a little bit amped up. They're a little bit different. There's a little twist to them. They're a little something different. When you think about a chef, right? You have a regular chef that goes in and cooks, and he follows the recipe. But then when you start talking about the master chef and the chef that's at that higher level, the one that has their name on the restaurant, it's because they're literally coming up with their own recipes. It is the exact same thing for you too. In your business, whatever that is, you have garnered all of this information, and you said, hey, I know how to do A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever that is. And that's the way you do it. And if you're following someone else's process and someone else's methodology, then you are an expert. But when you create your own method, your own formula for doing it, and you can document that formula and you could share that formula, when you can do that on a consistent basis, then you are a thought leader only when you've actually taken that formula and you've applied it to other people and they've been able to get successful results too. Because a formula that only works on you is not really a formula. It's a recipe maybe, but it's not really thought leadership. It really has to be able to be applied to others as well. That's when you're getting into thought leadership. Okay, so now you got it. Inspirational makes you feel good. Motivational moves you into action, right? Expert means you know something, you know it at either a low level or a high level, but you know it higher than the people to whom you are serving, and you're following someone else's methodology. Thought leader means that you have literally used your thoughts to change the formula, thereby change the game. You've taken that formula, not only have you applied it to yourself to get successful results, but you've applied it to other people for them to get successful results. That's a thought leader. So what difference does this make in your business? A lot. Because it actually impacts, number one, who you go after, your ideal client, right? That's the first thing, like, who are you going after? Or even if we take a step back from that, it impacts your promise, right? So for example, if you're inspirational, you don't want to make a promise that you're going to come in and deliver game-changing content, because that's a lie and you're never going to live up to that. So now your promise changes because now you're going, no, no, no. I don't come in and change your audience. I come in and make them feel good. So when you start looking at opportunities and you're talking to event planners, you're talking to contractors or clients, you say, no, you know what I do? I come in and I kick off your meeting. I come in and I make people feel amazing. That's what inspirational people do. I make them feel amazing. I can laugh, I can tell jokes, I can juggle, I can do a hula hoop, whatever that is, but you make people feel good with your words. It changes the promise that you put at the top half of your website. Because now your promise is in alignment with what you actually do, and you're not over copying everybody else's copy, trying to make it sound like yours when it's just crap, because you're copying their promise, which isn't yours. Then the next one is motivational, right? So motivational, they literally say, I am going to tell your audience, I'm going to give your audience tangible takeaways that they'll be able to do usually right away. Motivational people are really about changing the mindset, changing how people feel about doing something on an ongoing basis, right? So so your promise at the top changes. It's not just about making people feel good. It's about making people feel good and having a new perspective, a different way of seeing things, a little bit more motivated to do something different, a tangible takeaway. Then when you get into an expert, now what you're going to do is an expert, you're going to make a promise that's specific to the value proposition of your expertise. So for example, if your expertise is that you're a project manager, then project managers, usually their promise is something like, I'm going to ensure that your project is delivered on time, on budget, within scope, at the highest level of quality, so you can receive the ROI that you're looking for. So if a project manager was going to go stand on stage and they wanted to share their expertise, they could say something like, I deliver tips, tricks, and strategies so that you can deliver your project on time, on budget, within scope, and at the highest level of quality. Expert, right? So that's the difference between those three. And even the promise that's held at that's right there at the top of your website. So now if we go look at the last one, which is a thought leader is actually going to say something like this. I have a formula that delivers this result. So if you go look at my website, if you go look at Dawnna.com, right at the top, it says the 7 triggers to yes. The secret formula to getting just about anyone to do just about anything, right? That is because I'm a thought leader in the area of influence and persuasion. So I put that over there as my promise. My promise is very specific to how I'm presenting myself as a thought leader. So knowing which one it is makes a difference in how you present yourself. That's number one. Number two, beyond how you present yourself, it also makes a difference in who you reach out to. If you're an expert and a thought leader, then it would be a waste of your time to go after conferences that are literally looking for people just to get people excited and motivated and rah-rah about their conference. Why would you do that? Total waste of your time. Don't even bother, right? Don't do that. So it impacts who you're going to reach out to. If you're motivational, then you're going to go for those people. You're going to go for the people who want, we want someone to come up here and just make everybody feel good and get them going and maybe give them a couple of takeaways, something they could take with them, something they could write down, something they could use at the conference. That's motivational. They're asking for someone who's motivational, right? So now it makes a difference to your ears when you're talking to them, what they're actually looking for. Because if someone's looking for motivational and you start talking about all these tangible takeaways from your expertise and these tips and tricks, they're going, well, that's not what we're looking for at all. You will now know what your client is specifically asking for just by virtue of hearing whether they said, are you an expert? Are you a thought leader? Based on what they're asking for. So then you might hear someone say, you know what? And I get this one a lot. You know what, Dawnna? I want you to come in and I want you to tell our people something that they've never heard before. Oh, they're looking for a thought leader. That's when I'm like, okay, you're looking for me. Now, here's the thing. As a thought leader, I can't speak as an expert. I can't speak as a motivator. I can't speak as someone who's inspirational. I prefer not to. I prefer really to speak on what I speak on best. And so that way, when my clients hire me, they're hiring me because I do those things the best. And that's what I always do. So what you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that you're speaking, you're listening for the things that they're asking for, and that's what you're selling. Because when you and your clients are speaking the same language, you're going to close a hell of a lot more deals. Right? So it makes a difference even in how you move forward in your business. It also makes a difference in what your offerings are. So for example, let's say you're inspirational and you're like, and I hear people all the time, I'm an inspirational speaker or I'm a motivational speaker. And then I go to their website and they have all these how-to articles. And I'm like, I thought you were motivational. I'm like, clearly you're an expert. Well, I don't know what my expertise is. Well, fucking pick one. Like, stop messing around and just pick one, right? And so what happens is people get so caught up in the title that they don't know what the title means, and it causes there to be, here's the thing, when there's incongruity, when things aren't balanced off, when they're not the same, then what happens is it causes confusion. And when clients are confused, they start feeling a little doubtful. And when clients are doubtful, they head to the hills. They go the other direction. So you have to be crystal clear on what you're bringing to the game. You know how I roll, Jeff. You have to make sure that you're being very clear about what you bring to the table, right? So if you're inspirational, and if you tell me you're an inspirational speaker, your promise at the very top of your website should be inspirational. The messages, the names of your keynotes that you use should be inspirational. And your blogs and all the stuff that I read should be filled with stories that inspire. Now, if you're motivational, right? And when I say stories that inspire, tell me about your kitten and your dog and your puppy and your kid and your husband and that funny thing that happened. That's all inspirational. I want to hear those. Those are just stories. Now, if you're motivational and I go to your website, I expect to see a promise that says something about changing people's mindset or how they're going to think differently. When I go and look at your blogs or your descriptions, I expect your description to say, this, change your mind in regards to this or discover something like that. I really don't want you to go deep into the how-to. I really want you to motivate me, be motivated to do the next thing, right? What does Tony Robbins say? Awaken your inner giant. Like, I want to hear words like that. That's what should be on there. It should be something very motivational that people are going to be able to take action on, right? And then once you get past that, when I go down to your blog, what I really expect to see if I'm an event planner is I expect to see you to have stories that have a specific moral or takeaway to them that changes my mindset. Right? That's what motivational does. Motivational changes the mindset. So when I look at your blogs, if you're truly motivational, I expect your blog posts to change my mindset. Then finally, if you're an expert, when I go to your blog, I'm really looking for stuff that's going to tell me how to do something. That's what I'm looking for. It's going to really tell me how to do something specific to your expertise. And if you're a thought leader, and of course I already told you, your promise has to have to do with your expertise. Your titles have to do with, how to discover takeaways. That's what we're looking for in whatever it is that you're selling from your keynote or whatever it is. And then your blog post should also be giving people tips and tricks and how-tos specific to your expertise. If you are a thought leader, and this is where it gets tricky because thought leaders get lazy. This is what thought leaders really should be doing that they don't do, right? And I'm going to tell you, it took me a long time to get to the thought leader thing and go, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Number one, your promise right at the top should be so crystal clear that you are giving a new perspective on a common subject. New perspective, or new perspective on a subject. I really don't care if the subject is common or not, but new perspective, right? Seven secret triggers to yes. Very new perspective on influence, right? And it's been tested and blah, blah, blah. And I have all the proof. So people would expect to see case studies, right? If they went to my website and I put case studies out there. So they would expect to see case studies. They'd expect to see videos or read stuff that talks about changing perspective and where people are going to learn something they haven't learned before. See, this is a little different. This isn't just a how-to. It's also a new perspective. I'm going to take something that you never even thought about before, and I'm now going to say, hey, did you think about it this way? So even what I'm doing right now, there are people here going, holy crap, I never knew that before. It's taking away that last layer of doubt and really creating that clarity and saying, hey guys, here's the formula. So when you go to a thought leader's website, you should see a lot of formulaic stuff. You should see them taking stuff and breaking it down so that you really, really have a good idea of it. And so that way you could go, oh, now I understand. So every time they talk, you should have a, oh, now I understand moment. That's when you go, that person is a thought leader. So there are a lot of people that'll come on and you'll see them talk, they'll say the same thing and they're doing all these promotions, but then what you realize is that they haven't really said anything that enlightens you. See, thought leaders don't just educate, they enlighten you to a new way of thinking about usually it's a completely different perspective. That's what thought leaders have. They have the power of perspective. My power of perspective, even though I always talk about it influence, my influence, my sales, all of that stuff actually falls under what I'm really a thought leader in, which is entrepreneurship. That's really what I do, right? So I have a whole blueprint and a formula and everything that I teach in order for people to be successful entrepreneurs. Now I'll go ahead and tell you, you know what frustrates the shit out of me? I hear people all the time and they'll say, oh yeah, I see people like you. So now I already know they're about to insult me, which means I'm about to get in their ass. And they'll say, I see people like you all the time selling people how to be an entrepreneur like you. I see you people out there all the time. I said, first of all, I'm not a you people. But second of all, no, you see people claiming that they're going to help you be an entrepreneur, but you didn't do your homework and go and check to see if they actually had a formula or if they were just a tactician. See, that's the thing, right? A lot of those people that you go and you watch online that are saying they're thought leaders in entrepreneurship, they're actually just tacticians. And so the only way they can help you, and the reason that things get so expensive is the only way they can help you is if they work with you one-on-one, because they don't actually have a strategy, right? And so what they're telling you is they're like, I'm going to just tell you how I did it and what I would do. But that's not really helpful when you need something more strategic, because it has to apply to several businesses. So what you will find is a lot of people who are out there that are calling themselves thought leaders are actually not thought leaders. They might be experts, and they're tactical. They don't actually even know that they have a strategy or a methodology because they haven't taken the time to lay it out. And if they haven't taken the time to lay out their methodology, then there's no way they could be a thought leader because they don't even have a method in which to apply a new formula. Make sense? So I know that was a lot to throw at you, but I hope it kind of lays things out for you a little differently, because if you understand the difference, then you really do understand how to go after the kind of clients you're looking for. People ask me all the time, they're like, how did you rise so fast? How did you do it so quickly? Because I was very, very, very specific in regards to what I was going after and how I was going after it. And I knew when to pull, whether it was thought leadership versus inspiration versus motivation, right? And so once you know those things versus expertise, once you know those things, you know that about your business, you know what lane to put your business in so that you will go forward faster. I'll tell you right now, I don't tell people at all that I'm a motivational speaker. At all. Honestly, if other than for SEO, because everybody calls anybody who stands on stage with a microphone a motivational speaker, other than for SEO, you will almost never hear me say that I'm a motivational speaker. Although people call me that, that's not what I am. I'm actually a thought leader in entrepreneurship and, of course, persuasion and influence. And there are other areas, but I usually just cap it under entrepreneurship. So that's what you kind of want to look at when you're looking at these things, right? Because it changes your value proposition. It changes your bio. It changes the copy that you put on your website. It changes the blog posts that you write. It helps you have a lot more focus because now you know who you are and what you do. And then it helps you take that focus and apply it towards the type of clients that you really, really want to get. And even the things that you offer are different. If you're an oh my God. This is the last thing I'm going to say about this, and then I'm going to let you guys go. So This is the big difference that it makes. When you're putting together what we call it a cost access ladder. It's your product ladder, and you're trying to take people from zero to making money. To being premium. What a lot of people screw up, especially when they're inspirational, is they go and look at someone else's cost access ladder and they go, ooh, I have to coach. I'm like, dude, you're inspirational. What are you gonna do? Pick up the phone every day and cheerlead for me, or tell me a funny story? You're gonna pick up the phone every day and call me with a joke of the day? No, it's the wrong thing to have in your cost access ladder, because quite honestly, that doesn't fall for an Inspire's cost access ladder. It doesn't fall into their product mix. Even when you know who you are, you even know how to put your products together better. In fact, if you're an inspirational person, I would say don't waste your time coaching, because that's not where you should be. Where you should be is coming up with stuff that people can see every day, or hear every day, or subscribe to on a regular basis. People that want to get into some of your more premium stories and things like that. You're really going to be one of those people that's going around and getting on stage a lot. And maybe people want to see those videos. Maybe you want to have a podcast of stories that you can share. Things like that. That's where you should be if you're inspirational. If you're motivational, you want people to, again, you're doing the same thing where you're telling people how to do something, right? But you're not getting into the step-by-step how-to. You're giving them very high-level how-to, and how that changes because you're changing mindsets. So motivational people are all about mindset. Make sure your products fall under that. When you start getting into expertise, now you're getting into the point where if you were going to write a book, you're writing that book that delivers that expertise. If you're motivational and you're writing a book, you're writing the book that changes people's minds about something. If you're inspirational, you're writing a book about stories. If you're a thought leader, you're writing a book with a different perspective and a new formula. It changes the way you do everything. It changes your products that you put out, what you put in those products, all of that. So really make sure that you understand the difference, because understanding the difference makes all the difference in the world in regards to how you attack your business. It really does. And I'm telling you, I coach entrepreneurs all the time. We're getting ready to do the next High Profit Zone retreat. It's going to be in Orlando. It's sold out, so I'm not telling y'all to buy anything. It's sold out. But the next one is coming up in May, and we're taking a $1,000 deposit for people who want to make it to the May retreat. Excuse me, it's May 1st through May 6th. So if you're interested in coming to the May retreat, it's May 1st through May 6th. And this, quite honestly, who is the retreat for? It's for people who, like my buddy Jeff, what's up, baby? Who want to make sure that, that they take their business from where it is to where they want it to be, right? Like Jeff had his business at one place, and then we worked to where he wanted it to be. I do this with people all the time. And the reason I can do it is because I'm a strategist. So I have the strategy that I can apply to people who have an intellectual property business. Now notice that I didn't say, people who are selling widgets or pillows or stuff like that. Why? Because I think manufacturing is magic, and like buying a whole bunch of inventory is sorcery and witchcraft, right? So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm an expert in that. I am an expert at taking your intellectual property and your services and turning them into money. And even when you're not 100% sure of what those are, how do you make that happen? So even this, knowing the difference between all four of those, right? How does that really impact your entire business? Because it makes a huge deal which one that you are. It changes how you communicate. So anyway, the next retreat is coming up in May. It's May 1st through May 6th. There's only 2 ways for you to get in. Both of those ways go through one thing. You have to talk to me. So first of all, if you don't like me, if you're watching my live streams, you're like, I can't stand her. Good. Don't call me. Don't ask to show up. We're not, because we're going to be in the same house for 3 days. And I pre-dig holes for people that I think I'm going to kill. And then I sell their room again. So that's number 1. Number 2, so you have to go through me, so you either have to know me or you have to know someone who went to the retreat. Those are only 2 ways that you can get in. So either you have to be referred in or you have to know me. Either way, you're going to have to talk to me. I will tell you, when someone refers you in, I'll be honest, I am way more lenient. And I'll be like, you were referred by Wendy, so you must not suck because she wouldn't let you come in, right? And so that's one way you can get in. But regardless, everyone who comes to a retreat, number one, they have to have a conversation with me, because we're going to be spending, literally, we walk in on Wednesday. Well, not everybody does if you want to. Class starts on Friday. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Before class, though, there's like 3 to 4 weeks of pre-work that you have to do. We have a 200 and almost 300 page workbook that we actually work through now to build your business before the retreat. Then when you get to the retreat, it's all about refinement. It's refinement of everything that you've worked up to thus far. And then after the retreat, we have accountability. And so the accountability ensures that all the stuff that you did, that we actually get it done. It is one of the reasons why we're so damn successful, because, and I'm not just saying that, I swear to you, Wendy could vouch for me on this. One of the guys who came just did this video on how we sat down and we worked on his keynote as a post-retreat thing. And he literally just said, Dawnna, I got exactly what you said. I got 4 calls from the stage. It took me 2 hours to get out because people wanted to talk about having me come into their company. I am not making that up. His name is John Ramstead. You can go look him up. He literally just had a keynote and he was just like, it was all about that damn keynote that we did using the craveable formula. Because again, remember, thought leader, so I'm all about formulas and methods. So anyway, that's what the retreat is about. It's about people, I don't want to necessarily say who need a business rehab, although we do help people rehab their business, but it's people who are like, listen, I'm making some money. I'm not making the money I necessarily want to make, and I think you have some ideas and you can get me to the next level, and I need to know how to do that, and I need the support system to do that. So we support you before the retreat, we have the retreat, and then we support you after the retreat. And if you want to get in on the one in May, we've already sold 4 rooms. It's only open to 12. It's all inclusive. So there's 8 rooms left. And it is $1,000 deposit right now. So if you're interested, hit me up. Let's have the conversation. $1,000 deposit. How do you hit me up? You can send me a private message here, or you can go to highprofitzone.com. You can click on Talk to Dawnna, and you can set up a time to talk to me. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Make sure that you know which lane you fall into, so that way when you start writing your copy, when you start writing your bio, whether you're using our banging bios formula or our lucrative landing page formula or our craveable keynote formula or our kick-ass content formula and copy formula, regardless of which formula you're using, that you know which lane you're in, so that way you can write the type of copy that's compelling and that you're congruent within your messaging, because when there is no congruency, it causes doubt. Clarity kills doubt. So you want to make sure that you're crystal clear on what it is that you offer, who you offer to, and whether you are inspirational, motivational, etc. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Please do me a favor, by the way, share this video. If you share the video, it does help. First of all, people get notified more often, and it does help me with my numbers, so I'd really appreciate it. So if you wouldn't mind, I have no problem coming on and sharing 1,000 tips. And if there's something that you want to know about, something that you're dying to know, and you're like, please do a live stream on this, just let me know. I'll totally do one. I have absolutely no problem doing a live stream on it, as long as I can get it in within a certain amount of time. Yeah, you can ask me, and if I can answer your question, I will. And if I can't answer your question, you know what I'll say? I don't know. So I'll just let you know I don't know, and I'll find someone who does. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Have a fantastic day. I'm going to be kind of heads down, so you might not even see me until I get to the retreat, because it starts on Wednesday and then we get back home on Monday. So I'm going to be a little heads down. I'll definitely shoot a couple of times from the retreat that's coming up, so you can see what's going on in the mansion. It's so gorgeous. Oh my God. So gorgeous. And that's all I got for you guys. Have a fantastic day.